Financial careers for disabled talent. What's great about working in finance?
My name is Stephanie Marshall. I am the head of recruitment at Fidelity International across Europe. And I work day in, day out to make sure that we are bringing in, the best inclusive talent that we can find. When I think about why people should want to work in this sector, and I'll kind of give you my personal view as well. The sector is incredibly interesting and challenging. So I always find like no 2 days are the same. I've worked in my company for 10 years and I still come in every day and feel like I'm doing different things. The industry is very transformative. So there's a lot of focus on how can we do things better? How can we do things more efficiently? Always keeping in mind the end goal, which is how can we make our clients' futures more financially secure? The people that I work with are a big draw for me. They're very curious, they're bright, they're very solutions focused. And like I said, we are all working towards this common goal of having a positive impact on our clients' financial futures. And that can be our institutional clients, but also our retail clients. There's massive opportunities for learning and development as well. I'm sure all of the firms here have very established learning and development teams in-house. So there's lots of ways that you can develop professionally, like formally, professionally, and take on extra qualifications to either help you do the job that you're hired to do, or with a view to doing a different job in the future. There's lots of movement around the firm, so there's lots of good internal mobility. So you may join doing one role and in 2 or 3 years' time find yourself doing a slightly different role. So there's lots of variety. We're all very focused on our employees' well-being as well. So there's lots of additional opportunities to get involved in volunteering days or the D&I networks, or external networks as well, the pretty social industry. And we are also at the cutting edge of important topics that we were all hearing about. So things like AI or sustainable investing. So it's a very interesting place to develop your learning. And then finally, from my point of view, it does help you become more financially literate, if you like. So, whilst we're looking after our clients' money, we can also start to look after our own money as well.
What are some myths about working in finance?
I think there's probably, an image that people who work in finance have zero work-life balance and the hours that we work are very, very long. And that may have been true in the 80s, but it's certainly not the case now. So, there are lots of roles in the sector that are very, standard, typical hours, 9 to 5, but there is increasingly a lot of flexibility about where we work and when we work. There will always be days in any job, I suppose, where you've got a deadline, you need to work late or you need to come in early, but the culture in our industry is shifted a lot to providing a really positive work-life balance.
What are some myths about working in finance?
Just to continue that theme about myth busting in financial services, one that comes up, and hopefully we haven't covered this already, is that to be able to work in financial services, you need a finance or a mathematics background. Definitely an interest in financial services helps, be it banking, asset management, or insurance, but you don't need to have studied finance. Because as the sector is ever evolving, it's always looking for fresh ideas, so diversity of thought coming from people from diverse backgrounds. So an example is that here at BlackRock, we hire veterans transitioning from the military, athletes, including Paralympians, and returner programs for those coming back after a career break out of the industry. So you can definitely enjoy hugely rewarding careers which don't require you to bring in advanced maths or programming skills necessarily. The other myth I wanted to mention briefly was that financial services is a non-inclusive working environment. I mean, it's actually not unusual to see financial services firms employing a specialist DEI team within HR to help realize their commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion across all levels and regions, across gender, race, ethnicity, disability, and veteran status, among others. And we've seen evidence in academic research that shows that a diverse workforce is hugely impactful to creativity and success in the competitive industry, which financial services is. Companies don't want to be left behind. And the final point that I wanted to make on that is that you'll find within the sector progress on DEI commitments is reported to the board of directors. So there's investment in building an inclusive culture from the very top.
What types of roles are available?
Within financial services, most firms operate a hybrid working model. So there may be a specific number of days that people need to be in the office each week or each month. But certainly remote roles aren't heard of, depending on the work that you're going to be doing. Part-time, there are part-time roles, not as many, of course, as the full-time roles, but I think this is all part of financial services evolution to see how we can become more inclusive. If I think about the hybrid work model at BlackRock, for example, it's designed to enable that culture of collaboration, of apprenticeship, while supporting flexibility, because we know there's occasions where people need additional flexibility to work more from home. So whether that might be care arrangements, doctor's appointments, and where there are personal circumstances which prevent someone being able to commit to a hybrid model, then there absolutely is a process to review special cases and to make adjustments as well. So it's definitely a journey we're going on. So it certainly exists in the sector, the flexibility that would appeal to different types of people.
What types of roles are available?
Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Hammond from Invesco. So I head up the talent acquisition team across Europe. I've been with Invesco for just under 19 years now. So have a lot of stories to tell, but won't go into those now. So yeah, look, there's a lot of different career paths within asset management, but essentially they've all got the same goal, right? We're all working for the same client, whether it's internally or externally. So we all have the same goal, and that's the goal we want to all achieve. Some paths do require, advanced degrees, qualifications, especially, certain financial certifications and things, but there's lots of others that simply require experience within a certain field. So I think sort of Craig and Stephanie were talking, about the myth busting. We have a lot of different career paths, a lot of different functions within asset management and the financial services industry. Essentially we look for people who have a passion for the industry or what they do, and the ability to work as part of a team. They have to have those great collaboration skills and the willingness to learn and grow. But typically most financial services companies have lots of different business functions available to move around in as well. So they spoke there about sort of internal mobility. We do a lot of that as well. So you can get into a role, start networking, start working with individuals from other functions and really, move around or get an interest in other functions. But, you're always going to find something that fits your skill set, right? And what you enjoy doing. Some examples, we don't just have the finance teams, right? We have technology, we have HR, we have marketing, compliance, risk, audit. We also have those entry-level roles. So we run a program, as some may have heard of, which is the I-2020 program. So those are young individuals, early careers individuals as well. So you don't have to have had life work experience. You don't have to have a maths degree. You don't have to have come from a sort of financial services background. You could have come from a social media background and have a passion in marketing. All of those functions play a key part in the businesses and the success of what we do. We do have the most obvious, the front office staff, the investment teams that are obviously making the money, But all of those other sort of middle back office roles are equally as important to the success of the business. So look, lots of different areas, and certainly within Invesco, we highlight those roles. So not only on our careers page, but we also highlight individuals that are in those different roles, you know, and their career paths and where they've come from. We recently hired a lady who was a florist, no experience at all, you know, so it's very, very varied in terms of the roles that we hire within financial services.
What transferable skills can I use?
Hello, I'm Susie from M&G. I work in the resourcing team here. So yeah, typically within the financial and asset management organizations, we're all kind of underpinned by a diverse variety of roles in lots of different business areas. So from HR, operations, technology, we have support roles such as customer service and assistant positions, all the way through to kind of more front office positions like fund managers, portfolio managers, and our sales teams. As Craig mentioned earlier, this means we're not always kind of looking for people necessarily with a financial background. Many of our roles require transferable skills from a broad range of sectors. And if anything, it's a benefit to us to have those type of, the different skills that people bring. At M&G, this is probably reflected in a variety of backgrounds that our graduates come from, not often or not necessarily. They don't always come from a finance or economics background degree. We've had biochemistry degrees, had psychology backgrounds, and lots of others as well. So yeah, open to all sorts of skills that can bring drive to our business. Also, if you're an experienced hire, you might have worked as an assistant, for example, in a retail company. You'll possess all of the skills necessary to be successful in a similar role in a financial organisation too. Also, lots of firms now in the industry are slowly but surely adopting a skills-based approach to hiring. Which means hiring managers are looking for more transferable skills rather than focusing on kind of past experience. So yeah.
What's it like working with a disability at Fidelity International?
My name's Yvette D'Souza. I'm the Early Careers Programme Manager at Fidelity. I've been here at Fidelity for over 7 years. Over 3 of those years, I have been living and working with a brain tumour. I was diagnosed with a brain tumour at work in February 2020, just literally before the pandemic hit. Fidelity were absolutely amazing from day one, from supporting me in getting my diagnosis by pushing me to use my private healthcare, right up until now when I'm 3 years on, still going through treatment. So at the beginning, when I really didn't know what was going on, my manager was with me every step of the way, always checking in on me, giving me time off for appointments. Then when my whole world was flipped upside down by those words that no one wants to hear, that you have a brain tumour, she immediately found everything that was available to me and ensured I had everything I needed. I was off work for about 6 months, undergoing surgery, radiotherapy, chemo. And then once I started to get bored at home during the pandemic, it was time for me to come to keep busy, do something, and wanted to be back at work. That's kind of what I did before, wanted a bit of my identity back. So then I started a very slow phase back to work, which again, Fidelity were amazing. Slowly but surely, I phased back to work a few hours each day. And now 3 years on, I have regular calls from the occupational health to understand what I'm doing day to day, any work adjustments that I need. And that for me mainly is my working hours, depending on kind of what's going on, whether I'm on treatment or off treatment, and also what my scans say and consultant appointments say. Fidelity also support me with all of that in terms of when I need time off. I'm allowed to take time off for appointments. We also have workplace adjustments at Fidelity, and working with Posturite, who provide equipment to enable me to work from home better. So they came out, did because this was all obviously straight in the pandemic, everything was at home, came out to my home, looked at my office setup, supported me with getting better screens, better monitors, and then screens for the monitors, software on my computer and applications to help with my productivity at work. So yeah, that's me.
What's it like working with a disability at Invesco?
My name's Laura. I've been at Invesco for 6.5 years now. I support the legal and company secretarial team. When I joined Invesco, I've got multiple sclerosis. Was diagnosed over 15 years ago. So I've sort of lived with it for a while, but when I joined Invesco, I didn't disclose that I had MS. It was quite a lot of stigma about it, so I sort of kept it to myself. And within 6 months, I was offered a permanent position. So I told my manager at the time, and Invesco was really good. My manager was really good, offered me various support. What can Invesco do basically to support you and help you? And at the time I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure. One of the things we came to the conclusion on is walking is a bit of a tricky one for me. So when I entered the building, I was parked quite far from the Invesco where I needed to be in the building. So they suggested that we move our disabled bay. We can insert one nearer for you. So that's what's happened, and it's so much more convenient, very flexible. So any appointments, I have 6 monthly infusions. So every 6 months I go to hospital for the day and do that. I work from the hospital and then have a few days off to recover thereafter. But day to day managing it, yes, Invesco have been really flexible and helping for that.
What's it like working with a disability at BlackRock?
My name's Mary McClellan. I work within BlackRock within our portfolio management group. So I have been working at BlackRock for 18 years, so quite a long time now. About 5 years ago, I discovered I had a neurological condition, and it impacts my vision and also my balance as well. So it obviously did have an impact in my ability to work, but working at BlackRock, they made a number of adjustments for me. So in particular, because of my vision issues, really my kind of screen setup at work, we accommodated that to make that work for me. I have problems with looking at the computer screen, but also just sort of reading documents, or if I'm in meetings, being able to see the slides up on the screen. So we had to think about all the different parts of my work and how we could make all of those things better. The other aspect is, because of my balance issues, is there are some additional challenges for me in terms of actually commuting to work. So I have double vision and I have balance issues, so I have problems crossing the road and things like that. So commuting gets a little bit more challenging for me. And obviously, in an emergency situation, doing evacuating the building as well. So we had to really think about the plans for how I would, escape the building if there was a fire or something. So I have some additional accommodations around flexible working as well. So that sort of really helps me. The other thing that I would, apart from the more practical aspects of the adjustments that BlackRock have helped me with, it's also the emotional support that goes with it as well. So having very strong line manager support, but also business support, because it's good to have all the practical adjustments, but actually coming to terms with a disability and sort of adjusting to that emotionally as well is also something that they help me with.